Happy Sunday, everyone, and welcome back to the Underground Cave for another exciting paint-along. Tonight we will continue with Xiao Liu from Reaper, number 77418. This will be part 3. I have posted parts 1 and 2 to YouTube, and we'll get the links up in Discord for those that want to paint at their own pace. And I will export this video at some point next week so that all 3 of them will be here, and then we'll finish up Xiao next Sunday. So you can always find out which minis we're painting by just joining the Discord or heading over there, !Discord will get you the Discord link. Join in, find the Paint-Alongs 2024. You can find out what miniatures we're painting. I'll always put a basic color palette in there so that you can get those paints, the ones you have, or if you want to use the ones I'm using, I will also stick the ones that I use in the video into that Discord post, so that if you want to get those paints, you can, or you can use what you already have. I try to make them basic so that you have them, and hopefully, and also you can always post those pictures in the Paint Along 2024s. I would always like to see what you're working on, or put them in the WIPs, the works in progress, and see if it's it looks, or I would like to see what you do if you're getting anything out of these. So we did them last year. A bunch of people did some and painted along with me. So hopefully those people will, or new people will do it. But anyway, we're working on this lady over here. So if you have your paints and you had your brushes and any other tools that you might be using, let's get painting. All right, so here's where we left off with her. She is ready for tabletop. You can play with her. But now, so I would say between 4 and 5 hours, you can get anything tabletop ready to go. If you want to spend another 3 to 4 hours, you can do what we call tabletop plus, which means getting some extra fiddly things in there. Now, some might say she is tabletop plus because we did all this wood grain in here. Remember, this is just a flat rod. It's just a stick, and we put in all that texture, right? So it looks like it's got some texture to it, and that's part of what tabletop plus could be. Just giving a little bit extra oomph. But now what we're going to do is take it up a notch. There's a couple other things that I want to do on here, such as work in some of the bands on the boots, get some shade in there, and then she has these little I don't know, bands around her toes. I forgot what they call them for the ninjas. I should have looked that up before we started. Also, there's some darkness around her eyes. I want them to be closed, and so I'm going to kind of blend that down. I like this eye a little bit more than this eye, because this one is not as intense as this, so we want to work on that. I could make it half open, just, she's peeking, but, and then just get some extra highlights, and then do something. We have to highlight the black belt there. So there's a couple things that we can do on here to make it more tabletop plus quality, and add a lot more pop. Like that light shirt, I want more blue. So tabletop plus means I'm going to bring it to an uncomfortable highlighting, and then we're kind of glaze it down with a blue. And then we'll see if we can add some patterns or something to this open space of vest and shirt. And then the other thing I was thinking of, and we'll see how much we can get done. And then hopefully we'll do some dark lining. We did a little bit of dark lining around her hands and shirt, but there's a lot more places that we have to do it. So that's what we're going to do. Hopefully you have that. And I'm also going to, just give me a sec, just fixing something up. I'm going to go through the paints that we're using. So it's no surprise. We've done this on every stream, so we'll do it again. I'll start with my Games Workshop. I'm using the Morphang Air Brown. So this is just an airbrush paint. I like it because it's thin. I don't have to really thin this down as much. So I could put it in a dropper bottle and use it that way, but I'm using the Morphing Brown Air. Now it's the same color as the layer, it's just that the air paint's thinner. So, if you have a very thick Morphing Brown, you might want to thin that out with some medium or some water. Also with Games Workshop, the Gilliman Flesh. This is just a thin brown. You can use anything, transparent brown, brown ink. I like the contrast paint because it has more pigment to it than a wash. And this is what we did to get our darkness in the face. So remember, this is what we're going to be using to blend the flesh in. So we're doing also the flesh. Hey, Jimbo, what's going on? How are you doing? We're using Dwarven Skin from Two Thin Coats. That's our skin tone, and we can darken this up with that Gilliman Flesh to kind of subdue some of those dark lines, getting all the Adepticon stuff done. Oh, are you going to Adepticon? I can't wait to meet you live. I'll be at Adepticon myself, mostly in the Fort Wapple area, just painting, but you'll always know because I'll have buttons, I'll have stickers, I'll have my customizable water bottle, so you'll find me. No, are you getting your stuff done? Oh, no, I'm not doing anything for Adepticon this year. I decided to take this year off from competition painting so that I can work on some other stuff for myself. Um, and then really hone in on some skills because I really want to devote time to like one, maybe two pieces so that I can really hit it out of the park. So last year I went to ReaperCon and I did some other competitions throughout the year, and I just felt like my time was so spread out. And I was also teaching classes, so I was trying to get that stuff. But my focus was so split that I didn't really get everything done I wanted to. And for display quality pieces, I really need to spend as much time as I can to get stuff done. I don't know what happened to my little genie guy. Oh, wait, maybe he's here. Yeah. So I'll show you. This is one that I did for a. Sorry, folks. We'll get back to the thing in just a second. So I did this piece right here. People remember this piece on stream. But I'm not happy because there's a lot more that needs to get done with him. I didn't do a lot of stuff with him. Yeah, I thought a group of you were doing that guy all together. Yeah, we were. So I mean, I really took my time with the glow effect, and I think I achieved the glow effect, but there's a lot more stuff on here that I wanted to do for display quality, such as freehanding some stuff on this blank canvas here. I have to do this knee pad, so I wasn't sure where I was going with this. And then there's this kind of flat purple band here that I wanted to work on. Hey, Rubik's Cube is in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Let me give Rubik's a quick follow. How are you doing tonight, Rubik's Cube? At Rubik's. I haven't seen you on in a while. And welcome in a Night Whisper. Let me shout out a Night Whisper. Now, how are you guys doing? We were just going over the paints for our paint along, and we were talking about Adepticon. Rating party, what is up? Yes, what is up? I just started back again literally yesterday. Well, that's awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not following Rubik's Cube, you need to go follow him because he does outstanding stuff. And I've seen him from his little, when he started, he had like a really basic camera and a little setup, and he was doing some old D&D stuff, and he has exploded on the scene, and now he's got like this professional looking camera, and he's doing all kinds of nifty things with much bigger 3D printed models. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's doing something for Adepticon for the Resin Beast. So ladies and gentlemen, you need to go follow him really quick. And then so we're going through our paints right now. So hey, thing, I can't stay long. I'm about to paint. Oh yeah, Rubik's Cube 75 is going to be at Adepticon too, so you guys should meet up. I totally want to meet up. I was just telling Jimbo that I was going to be at Adepticon, and I'll be in Fort Wapple most of the time. Same camera, just better learn. Oh, okay. I thought it was a much better camera. My mistake. So see, you got to go over and see him. He's improved his camera quality without me knowing, and everything looks great. You can look for the cube head. I will look for the cube head. You can look for all the imp paraphernalia sitting around my paint station at Fort Wapple. I have my own customizable water bottle. I'll have little pin buttons and stickers. So yeah, it'll be a grand old time. And listen, Rubik's, if you're going to Adepticon, and this is for anybody that's going to Adepticon, make sure you talk to Tony from You Got Me Monologuing, as he will be doing the paint and pass for the charity event for Kathy Wapple. So make sure you get in on that. You can paint on that model with almost every other awesome streamer and painter out there. I was streaming a lot over the next 9 days. Awesome. I wish I could go, but one of these years I will be there. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to just get through the paint so that we can start painting along. So the Dwarven Flesh is from 2 thin coats. We're going to brighten that up with some bright ivory from Pro Acryl, Monument Hobbies Pro Acryl. And speaking about Pro Acryl, we're also using just the basic blue from them and the golden yellow. So those are the 2 Monument Hobby paints. We will be using some Reaper stuff in here, and that is the Dragon Black and the Misty Gray, 09437 and 09090. So those are the paints that we have been using, and those are the paints we will continue to use. I haven't added anything in here, so we're painting Xiao Liu up, and so what I want to do is right in here, I probably should use a brush as my pointer. So that's what I'm going to do. We'll get a little water on that brush, make a nice tip. So I want to kind of highlight in here the bandages, bring out some life to these bandages, and we'll see what we're going to do down here. And then I also want to kind of blend in this face a little bit more so it's not so rough. And we're going to be using something called painting towards the dark line here, because right now it just kind of looks like a mess in there. So that's what we're going to do. We want to kind of polish this up. So we've already spent 5 hours on this lady. She's already tabletop ready to go. Now we're going tabletop plus. I just found out I was going to be able to go on Friday. Really? Well, that's awesome. I can't wait. All right. And now I need to get my eyes together because, or excuse me, I need to get my mags on because I'm old, blind, and I cannot see. All right. So there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get some music on, and then we can start. Boy, so many things, so many things. What's a good paint-along music? I have no idea. Let's go techno? Think techno might be a good pop, punk, reggae, rock, meditation, main character. You know what? Let's go techno and see. Nah, I don't want to do techno because that means sci-fi, right? Let's do looking here. Let's go main character. We haven't done main character in a while, have we? Maybe I did last week and I don't remember. We'll do main character. That sounds like a good one to do. Let me throw this down so that we don't blow out anybody's ears. Main character. That begins with M. M. There we go. Again, if the music is too loud, let me know. Cyberpunk, yes. Eventually, you know, I have to start doing some cyberpunk stuff because I haven't done any real sci-fi lately, so. All right, let's bring this light down a bit. Ooh, we almost dropped her. That's not fun. Okay. Bring this down just a bit. All right, first thing we're gonna do, I want to fix that face up, so that's what we're gonna do. So my face is gonna get a couple colors here. We're gonna get some Dwarven Flesh. Not really happy with the caps for 2 thin coats. This is what I got out of the 2 thin coats. Look at that. It's really disgusting up here. So the design is not quite what I was looking for. But I like the paint. So we'll see. Maybe I can clean that up. Maybe it just that it's a bad bottle. All right, so we're gonna get some ivory. We'll get some ivory. Remember, when we do the flesh tones, we're gonna stay with one flesh tone and just highlight and keep highlighting with a colder or a warmer tone. In this case, it's gonna be ivory, and we want the Gilliman flesh. So the Gilliman flesh, we have to grab a big wash brush, get this contrast, and I'm gonna throw it in here. And this is just straight from the bottle. Sounds like this is a commercial, doesn't it? All right. Now this is super thin, so it looks like there's a lot of paint there, but there's really not. And we're just using it to darken it up. All right. Rinse that out. I'm off for post-stream. All right. Have a great one, Rubik's, and I can't wait to see you in March. So, thank you for stopping in. Thank you for giving me your raters. We are doing a paint-along of Xiao Liu. 77418 is the Reaper miniature number. If you want to paint along, I do have the first 2 installments posted on YouTube, and I will get you those links on Discord as soon as I can. And I'm trying to be very good about posting these paint-alongs so that you have them. Now, so there's a big eye over here, or a big line over here, so I kind of want to get that to be a little more subdued. So I want her eyes closed, and I kind of want this this thin darkness right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some flesh, and some Gilliman flesh, and we're going to darken that down just a little bit. It's going to probably take a couple passes of Gilliman flesh to do it because it's a thin paint on an acrylic paint. There we go. It's kind of where I want to go. And I kind of want to just kind of fix this right here. It makes no sense if you can't see what I'm doing. So all this, everything we do today and next week is going to do thin paints. Very thin paints. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of thinning out a lot of the area around her hair, her face. I'm trying to subdue a little bit of this dark lining that we did in here, and we'll go back and touch it up with the lighter colors, but everything is very, very rough right now. And so what I want to try to do is smooth things down just a little bit. And that's what we're doing here with this nice darker flesh. We're gonna try to bring a lot of this together so that the dark lining is only where it should be dark. So like right at the bottom of her eyes. There we go. So it's sort of like a glaze, but not really a glaze. I'm just trying to fix and subdue some of these really dark lines in here. And then we'll go back in and we'll highlight stuff. But I'm not going over the highlights. I'm just going close enough to where that dark line is. Maybe the dark line's too fat. And so I'm just trying to pull this into that dark edge. Okay. What the fuck is up with the Depends ads? I have no idea. I don't even know. Eventually I'm gonna have to turn those off during this stream. I keep unchecking ads and getting rid of them, and somehow they find a way to keep posting them. I don't understand. Alright, I'm going to take some of the regular flesh. Again, just a very thin paint. I'm using a very thin brush, which means that my paint has to be thin. If your paint's not thin, then don't use a thin brush, because it'll just dry before it gets to the piece. And I'm just going to kind of go over some areas here, get as close as I can to that. I think I got rid of this highlight here, so I'm gonna reestablish this highlight that I told you not to do. Get these lips, this bottom lip, top lip. So I'm just trying to soften a little bit of her skin tone. Now I'm gonna go in and grab a little flesh with some bright ivory, like a 1-to-1 mixture, and reestablish some of those highlights. So like right here on the eyelid, on the cheek itself, right on the forehead, alright, we'll just redo that highlight. I think it might be the sculpt itself. Alright, I'm gonna redo this now. Adding more ivory to this color. Remember, when you're highlighting a face, make sure you do the skull. So like there's this nice big skull right here. We'll do the eyes Okay. We're going to do the cheeks. Because the cheeks, you could feel the skull on the cheeks. And then when you do the mouth, make sure that you do the upper lip and go around the mouth. So there's this like circular portion to the face. And then we do that little chin. There we go. Yeah, that's looking much better. Get some of this neck right here. There we go. Yeah, see, she doesn't have that big eyelash or that big brow coming over the top. All right, and we'll add more ivory to that. Each time you add ivory, make sure you only paint a smaller portion. So I'll paint a little highlight right here on the skull. Right on the tip of her nose. Do a little bit on her eyelid. A little bit on her eyelid. Upper lip. The chin. And a little bit on these cheeks here. And then we'll get a little bit of highlight right here on the chest area. I don't think we need to get anything on the neck because her chin is probably covering up on the neck. So we'll do something that looks like that. There we go. So what we want with females is more softer transition in our highlights and in our shadows. And we want the dark line to be on her eyes, around her mouth, right? So I'm going to take some of this Gilliman flesh, and rather than wash it or anything, I'm just actually going to really paint in the eye, right at the bottom of the eyes. So it's more of like a little touch, and let the medium take it to where it's got to go. And I'll do the same thing in the middle of the mouth. Just let the medium dictate where the two lips come together. Just little touches. Now we'll get some pink into that momentarily. All right. Now to finish this off, this dark line is not just from her face, but it's also from where we did the hair. So I'm going to bring the hair with a little bit of Morphing brown and some golden yellow. So we're just going to make this little mix here. We've already put Morphing brown in the hair. We've already put the golden yellow in the hair. We've already put the ivory in the hair. So making this mix now just to kind of soften up and make those edge highlights or dark lines rather, not edge highlights, dark lines a little bit thinner, since we have these colors already there. And that's what we're gonna do. So there's my two colors. Remember, this is air paint, so it's much thinner, but so is yellow. Yellow is very thin, so I think it'll work out where I can do a 50-50 mix. So we'll just take some of that, some of this, and if it looks too yellow, or 2 brown, you can mix more. This looks all right. And I'm just gonna go on the side of the hair around that dark line and just kind of make it smaller. Okay, add a little more yellow to that to bring out the edge a little bit more. And then you can use this to fix anything that you think needs to be fixed. So like right around this mold line, I'll just kind of fix this a little bit. And then I'll just go straight up yellow this time. Bring everything in. So like over here, over here, all right on the edge. And then I already know where that ivory spot is, so I'll grab some of that ivory. Remember, just little slash marks around the crown. And then I will also do a little slash marks around this area here, just to make it look like light is hitting there. Same thing over here. There we go. Yeah, I think that looks a lot better than what we had her at. So that's good. All right. Well, we're going to take some of our Morphing Brown. Believe it was Morphing Brown Yellow. I think it was 3 yellows and 1 Morphing Brown. And then we did 2 ivories. Wasn't it 3, 2, 1? So it's 3 yellows, 2 ivories, and a Morphing Brown. That's what got us our little bandages. Well, we're going to add more ivory to that now. So let's take this ivory, take some of this paint we just mixed, add it in there. That might be too much. That looks like a good highlight color. And we can also put more yellow in this if we want yellow. But I'm just going to go in and It looks like we highlighted a little bit of this already, but I think we can do a little bit better. Really punch that out away from the wood grain and the wood color. In fact, I can use this same color, add more yellow to it, and add it to the wood, and it will really separate the wood from the bandages. Because really, it's the same colors, just used in a different way. So I can always put more yellow into the wood grains. And see how that bright color just popped the dark line that we did last week? Look at that. And we can do even more ivory when we get there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the same color, and I'm going to actually paint with this color the bottom of her feet where these toes are. I'm really going to have to look up and figure out what these are called. And we'll do the same thing over here. I used to know what they were called. I'll just call them ninja shoes for right now. I don't know if they're actually ninja shoes now that I'm looking at them. They look like they're just a sock with a string around them. Yeah, so anybody that wants to see some oil work being done, a Night Whisperer is doing a lot of stuff with oils. You should give him a check. If you're not painting along and you want to see somebody that knows what they're doing. He has graduated from acrylics to oils. I am still doing acrylics. I have not achieved level 2 yet. So again, this is nothing more than what we just highlighted the bandages with. I'm just doing the entire sock area of her shoe in this color because I think it might look kind of neat. I'll kind of separate out the boots. All right. So I'm going to take some of this color that we made, this light bandage color, and add a little bit of yellow to that. Do 2 shots of yellow. And I'm going to use this to kind of draw on some highlights, kind of where they already are, on this wood grain. And now these are just going to be small highlights. But you'll see how it changes the properties of this wood. It almost will look, well, it'll definitely look different than those bandages, but it gives a little bit more of a warmer texture. And it's just using the tip of the brush and just making these weird looking grain, trying to stay where we highlighted, but sometimes it'll look better. See that? That's what that yellow does in there. And then when we boost the bandages up with a little, or I should say not bandages, wraps. I should say wraps, right? Because that's what they are. It's a wrap around the staff or the bow stick. So when we do ivory there, it makes it'll warm this bow stick up. So it'll look different, but we're using the same colors. We've used the same 9 colors throughout this entire miniature because that's where the cohesiveness comes from. There's no reason to go add colors where you don't need to. Just give these a little bit of a dot. Add some sort of texture in there. And then if you want to make this darker, we use that darker color and we take some of this yellow and we'll add some yellow into this darker color. And then we can just kind of add some dark grains right there. All right. Let's get some pure ivory. And I don't actually want to go pure ivory. So I'm going to actually take this color and I'm just going to make it brighter. And when I do this, now I'm not going to stick it on the bandages yet. I think what I'm going to do is kind of come down to the tops of the foot to get most of that mix off the brush. So I'm just going to do the top of the foot, leaving everything else kind of in shadow underneath. And this will really kind of sell whatever dark bandage we put on the foot. So we're just going to kind of, I'll even do the fronts. That sounds like a plan. And now that I've painted with it, I should have a point that I can actually go here and reestablish the bandage. But this time I'm going to stay on the top and on the curves. So I'm not going to go down the side very much. So this is just going to be at the curve. Like so. And then we'll do the top. Connect those two curves together. And all I'm doing is just doing a quick stroke toward me to get that edge highlight there. It's not really an edge highlight, it's more of a top highlight. And I might do this again because it doesn't look like this one took too much. I can probably get this little top right here next to her hand. There we go. And you can see how the bandage now pulls away from that wood staff. And now I'll do the pure ivory just to get on top of this, the wraps. So right here is just pure ivory. So now it's lighter up on top of the staff as it gets down. right? So there you go. And then I'll do a little pure ivory right at the toes. And I'll try to get a little more pure ivory right about here. So I'm just going to pick out hairs now. You don't have to do this. I'm doing it because I have the ivory and I just saw some pieces that I wanted to kind of do this with. Saw some hair that I wanted to kind of highlight. There we go. All right, we're staying with that ivory theme. We're going to take some of this blue now. And I'm going to punch up the ivory, or I'm going to punch up the blue to be very bright. And I'm going to highlight my light blue to a very obscene, uncomfortable place. So I'm going to do 3 ivories and a half a blue. It's probably like a 6-to-1 combo. Look at how much that blue just kills the ivory. That's all right. So we're gonna do it again. Get some ivory in there, and what I want is a nice blue stainy ivory. I don't know if this is bright enough. Let's see. I'm gonna hit those folds. Hit those tops of the folds and around the sleeve. See, every time I go around the sleeve, it's going to really enhance that dark line that we put in there. Doing the tops of the arm and pulling it down a little bit. So hopefully you can now see between the 2 different sleeves that uncomfortable feeling, like why are you turning it ivory? I'm not. There's blue in this. It's just a very lighter blue, and I'm trying to mute it down because we already have a nice blue vest, and look at how that sleeve brings out that blue vest, and we're going to keep doing that. So we're going to keep adding that ivory. So this is like I said, it's a very uncomfortable highlight. It almost looks ivory there. But what I'm going to end up doing is glazing it back down. So we're just going to kind of keep going with this nice, strong, bright blue, because we'll glaze it back to a blue, and all of those highlights will still be there. So just don't be afraid. And I have a feeling we're gonna do some stuff either at the end of today or next week. We're gonna kind of do some freehand on this on this trim here. So I'm gonna highlight it for now, but I think I'm gonna do some extra stuff with this. So again, what you're trying to do is bring this to a very uncomfortable highlight. And every time you highlight this, look at how it brings out that nice dark edge or dark line that we put on the vest. See, I actually painted over the dark line on this side so you don't see it too much on that side. But that's kind of what we want. You can't have a dark line without having light next to it. Let's do the other side. So I'm going to do all the tops of the folds before I go anywhere else. Although there is no folds in here. So what I'm going to do is I'll start with the top. And I can fix this. And I'm just going to do a bunch of slashes here. It's going to give it a little bit of texture, and that's kind of what we want for material. But I'm trying to stay within that light source right here. And I'm keeping these connected, so it's not just a bunch of slashes, but they are getting connected. When I do the highlight, it won't be a straight line as I come down. And so she has a little bend to her elbow, so we'll get that highlight to be away from that elbow to show it off. And again, she has trim over here, so I'll just paint it for now, but what I'm really trying to do is get so that that dark line really does show. Oops. No. Flood it, flood it, flood it. Flood it. See that mistake? You flood, 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 and then you can just wipe it away. No more mistake for anybody. But now that that area is flooded, we have to kind of wait for it. So I'm going to do the top of this fold right here. And she's got some folds right here that I'll do. And I'll bring some of this highlight in over here. And some of this highlight in over here. Just want to soften things down. But again, now, as that gets lighter, my vest gets darker. That vest is now more vibrant blue. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to mute out this light blue so that that regular blue is a violent blue. It's the same blue, I'm just adding more ivory to one of them than the other. And this is where you fix all of those dark lining mistakes. So she does have some folds right here that I want to try to get at. There we go. And I will go back over the tops of this one. There we go. Alright, I'm just going to go in and fix this dark line with their fleshes. So I'm just going to take some of this flesh, this dwarven flesh right here, add a little bit of the ivory, not too much. I just want to brighten it up because it is on the top. And I'm just going to kind of work my way to make that dark line just a bit smaller. So that dark line is a bit smaller. But nonetheless, that dark line is there to show a little bit more neatness and a difference in material components. And I'll do the same thing over here, although I don't think I need to do it over here. Oh, I guess I didn't. I did. It's a little rough over here. So we'll just clean that up. See, tabletop, you don't have to worry too much about that. But tabletop plus, you want to get it nice and clean. There we go. Look at that. All right. Let's do some highlight on the belt. Which means we're gonna get some gray, some misty gray, and we're gonna get some dragon black. Okay, if a Night Whisperer saw my wet palette, he would go insane. He is a very neat and controlled wet palette guy. I just throw colors all over the place. Now we're going to take some of this dragon black, and we're going to take some of this misty gray, and you don't want to go 50-50. You want to do about a 75. So you want to do 3 parts black, 1 part gray first, then you go to a 50-50. And so here all I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a lot of the upper parts and kind of leave the black in the recesses, but I'm also going to leave that dark line around things. So that's kind of where I want to go. Black, you don't really have to paint black completely. You can, but here I kind of want it to be a little more controlled where I want, because there's no way to darken black. You can only highlight. So if you start with a very dark gray, and in this case, this is just a belt. It's a small piece of this miniature. So I'm going to just kind of keep it as a dark gray belt. But it will give the illusion of being black because there's some black elements into it. And you don't really want to go from black to a bright gray because then it looks like it's shiny. You want as much subtleness as you can with a black fabric. So I'm choosing to make this black a fabric color, which means all the highlights are very soft. And it looks like I have some hair to fix on this side, so I will do that. But see, you can see now I have this gray, but you can also see the black outline of everything. So that's what I was trying to say. So black, a little bit of gray. And I'm just kind of hitting the tops and the flat areas. I'm not trying to paint everything gray. Just basically all the flat areas I see. Leaving the connection points black so that it looks like it has some definition. There we go. All right, that looks good. So we're going to take some more of this misty gray, throw it into this color, and you'll see it'll really kind of get black, or it'll lighten up. And now I'll be a lot more controlled where this highlight goes. So I just want the extreme edges. And as much as you can't see it here, trust me, it's there. At least I think it's there. Now we'll do the top. Now there might be some folds in this that you can see, but I'm not doing the whole thing. I'm just kind of doing where I can get to easily. So underneath their arms, I'll leave dark gray. That doesn't need a highlight. But now I'm wondering if this gray actually came out on me. That looks more like a gray, right? All right, we'll keep that down there. And we'll see if we can get this gray into this color here. Yeah, see how that lightens up? That's what we're looking for. I think we're on a loop. I might have to go somewhere else for my music here. Oh yeah, look at that. Look at how nice and light that is now. And it's not super bright, so it's gonna look, this is what we want. We want something that looks like this. It's not super shiny, right? It's not taken away from the belt, the black of the belt. So I'm just gonna kind of keep doing little spots here. See how that belt just softens up a bit? Now, if you really want to do something, you could take some ivory, throw some ivory in there, create a nice bright warm highlight, and get these extreme folds in the bottom. To the top, to the tops of each thing. Again, we're not really doing a lot of dynamic lighting stuff. Maybe some of this highlight wouldn't really register, but we're just doing something for tabletop, and nobody's really gonna look if your lighting is off just a smidge. In fact, in order to get some dark tones, you have to get some highlights next to those dark tones. But look at that. Now, that black belt, you could see the different elements of that black belt. Okay. Oh, let's see. Now, I don't have a red, and I don't have anything that's going to mimic a red. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add something to the palette. But it doesn't have to, if you don't have it, you don't have to worry too much. But I want to do some red to the lips, but I don't want pure red. So what we're going to do is add a little bit of, let's see, what do I want to add here? What's a good color? See, if I had some mahogany, I would probably use that. But hold on, folks. I'll be right with you. Give me 1 sec. Sorry about that, folks. All right. All right. Before I go any farther, before I do the red on the lips, I want to bring the rocks down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add more black to this gray. And I'm going to add some brown into that gray mixture. So I'm going to kind of make this more of a muted brown. So taking some black, taking that Morphing brown. This is just going to further, I'm just going to take all of that Morphing brown since it's thin. And this is just really going to mute down the base. It's gonna make it nice and dirty, but you're gonna see it's kind of blend in with everything else, and it's gonna bring out those boots. Because I think now when we're doing everything, that base is getting in my way of seeing things in the miniature. So doing this nice dark, thin brown gray will kind of make the base invisible. Yeah, there she is. Now we can see her. So I have these wraps on here, and they were kind of the same wraps that she was using there. So I don't want to go all the way to bright ivory on them, but I do want to lighten them up a bit. But before I lighten them up, what I really want to do is use my Gilliman flesh, and I want to kind of glaze over those so that everything, because there's these bands that tie these wraps together, and I really kind of want to give them a color, whether they're going to be the blue that we want or they're going to be black. I want to see where those are. So I'm going to take this Gilliman flesh just straight from the wet palette. I'm going to wipe it on my thumb or a paper towel just to get that point back. And then, whoops, there we go. And then I'm just going to kind of glaze over them like this. And what this is going to do is it's going to fill in the recesses, and then it should show, if I'm not mistaken, it should show where we're gonna paint those little ties, whether it's a rope. I mean, we could do it in ivory, but I kind of want to use ivory to bring this out. So we're just using the Gilliman flesh right now to kind of bring out some dark lining. But we're gonna have to wait for this to dry. And I think we may almost be at time. What time we got here? Oh, it's only 10 o'clock. We have another half hour. Take some of this Gilliman flesh and just kind of hit up here. Alright, one thing I do want to do, it's driving me nuts, is I want to fix some hair over here. So I'm just going to take up straight up yellow and just kind of paint this yellow hair right here. You probably have a much cleaner hair than I do. So I'm just gonna fix this up. There we go. That looks a little bit better. Gonna bring this down just a little bit. Make this a little more yellow than it is. make this a little more yellow down here. I don't want to go too far with this because it is in shadow, but I do want to get it away from the vest area. All right. All right, we're gonna take some red, and it could be any red, just any pure red. I was gonna use a red clear, but I don't think that's where I want to go. So I'm just gonna go right to Monument Hobbies red. It's a good red. I could go magenta. I have a magenta somewhere, but we'll just do this red right quick. Now, it's not just going to be straight red, and you don't need a lot of it, because we're going to use this flesh color, and I think it's going to be, I'm going to go 5 flesh colors and 1 red. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to do 5 of those and 1 tiny red and see where that takes me. I just want to make it kind of more on the pinkier side, not a lot. I think that might have done it. I'll try a little bit more red. All right, there we go. So we're going to do this, and then remember we want to do some ivory on the lips because that's where we highlighted. So I'm going to take some ivory, not a lot of ivory, and add that in. Well, there we go. So you want the same value as you did your light flesh, but now it's just going to be a little bit more red. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of go over the lip here, the bottom lip, with this color. And we already put that dark line in there, so we should know where the dark line is. And then I'm going to do it the same up here. Oops, not close to where I wanted to go with that. Okay. I'm gonna add more ivory to that so I can lighten that up a bit. There we go. Ah! That's not good. Just kind of flood it and get it out of there. If I can flood it and get it out. No, I think it dried too quick. It's alright. Add a little bit more red to this color. Yeah. It's not a lot of red. You don't have to add a lot of red to it. All right, well, I'll clean that up after. It didn't come out the way it was. I mean, I have the lips there, yes, but I'm covering up this black. I don't want to. So we will do it again in a second. All right. So the base is wet. We have the stuff there. All right. I'm gonna go with more ivory. And this is gonna be really super controlled, but I'm gonna take this ivory and I'm gonna add this blue to it. Gonna make a nice bright blue, almost looking ivory. And I'm gonna hit the tops of each one of these folds right here. I'm also gonna hit the edge of the sleeve. And I'm gonna follow this little fold line right here, making little hash marks along the way. It's sort of like following where it's her arm, right? So her arm is right here and it's holding up the sleeve. That's what I'm following. And you can make more folds if you want, just by throwing in some slash marks. We'll do the same thing on this side. So find where that arm is holding this sleeve up and make these little hash marks. But you can also find where those folds go, and you're going to just paint over those folds. So there's a fold right here. There's a fold right there. There's a fold right here. See that? There's those folds. On this side, we have these folds. The elbow. This fold right there. I'm going to do the middle right here. Do in the middle here. Try to kind of clean up some of those dark lines. There we go. And look at how that shirt just kind of, now it's got this ivory. It's still got blue in this ivory, but now it's really popping away from that dark, or from that vibrant blue, which is what we wanted. Because now I'm going to take this vibrant blue, going to add a little bit of the misty gray. To lighten it up. And I'm just going to go and enhance now. I'm just going to kind of hit this edge. All right, I think she has some trim here. We'll just do the entire trim. Because I think I want to do this trim in a different color, but I don't know. Let's see. Let's see how this goes. Maybe I don't have to do it in different color. Maybe this light blue will do what we want it to do. But this blue gray that we just made, this misty gray and blue, if you do it correctly, it should make that dark line that we created, should make it even darker. See that? I don't think she has trim over here, so I'll just kind of give her a nice edge highlight there. Do the same thing over here. And I will do it in the back here. I don't know if we edged highlighted or dark lined, I should say, back here. We might have. So you don't have to always throw different colors for things. You can use the same color. Just kind of change the value of it. So we just threw some gray into this. Now you certainly don't want to go as bright as the bright shirt. Actually, she does have trim. So somewhere on this miniature, it's not always completely sculpted that you can see. So she does have trim over here. So I'll have to adjust my blues there. All right, my lip should not be flooded anymore, or her lips, I should say. So let's get there again. See if I can do this correctly this time. Hopefully you can watch. So I'm just going to do the lips, and then I'm going to kind of fix around them. So you just have to be patient. So she's going to have like large fish lips right now. So we will fix that with a little bit of Gilliman Flesh. I think I'm using too big of a brush. Let me go back to my skinny brush. Oh, that was flushed. I want this guy. And I'll take a little bit of the black. Okay. And we'll take some flesh. I just gotta fix around the lips now. So I'm taking some highlighting flesh, going on the top lip, under the nose, because I want to make that just a little bit less than what it was. Take some regular flesh. Making it a little pinker. Still on the flesh side though. So I didn't want to introduce too much red, and you're not going to see the red really. Just trying to give some life into the actual lips here. All right, there we go. That's a little bit better. That took a while, folks, and I apologize. I mean, I don't expect anybody to actually follow that. But just gonna fix around her eyelids just a little bit. Because I want to make sure that they're closed. All right. All right, so these guys look like they're a little dry right now. So I will go ahead and make that mixture again. So that's some Morphing Brown. So let me get some Morphing Brown out. For those that are keeping score. Ew. Let's get a bigger brush. All right, so if I'm not mistaken, we decided that that was going to be one Morphing brown, 3 yellows, 2 ivories, right? So here's my Morphing brown. Here's my yellow, yellow. So 3 yellows. I think I need another little bit of Morphing brown because that's, yeah. And then 2 ivories. So there's 1, 2. So I'm going to now hit all of those wraps that doesn't have a string. I don't know if you can actually, I'm gonna, well, nah, I'm not gonna play around. Let's just do it. You'll see it. Okay, so I have some thin paint here. I have a small brush, and I'm just gonna go on. So I see that there's a band there, so I'm just gonna kind of do this. So I'm gonna paint on the tops of all of these folds. But there's a string in the middle of each one of these wraps. So I'm not going to do the string, just gonna do the actual wrap itself. Now it's gonna be tough to see, but there's a string and there's a string, and then you have this right here. So if you don't want to paint this yet, you can watch what I do. Okay. So I don't know if you can see where those 2 strings are yet, but when I brighten this up, you'll see them. So we're going to do the same thing over here. So you can kind of see the middle one because there's like this connecting piece between the folds. Don't paint all of the darkness. Just paint on those wraps. If you're looking at the miniature, it's probably the thicker wrinkles than it is the smaller wrinkles. Just paint over that fold there. And that's why we did the contrast, so we could find those little strings. And what I'm gonna have to do, I think, is actually paint them black to get the dark line in there, because some of these areas don't have that string going through it, which is unfortunate. Okay. So I'm going to go in with the black. And I'm just going to paint over the string. So hopefully you can see the string when I do it. It's gonna look like I'm painting the bandages, but I'm not. I'm just giving a big fat where the string is gonna be, and then we're gonna paint the string back on the black. And then we can choose whatever color we want for the string. So they see there's string there, and then there's string right here, right in the middle of the toes. Do the same thing on the other side. And it's easier if you start in the front or the back and you just make a line, and then you turn the miniature to continue the path. And if you do it correctly, everything lines up. So you can just connect the two pieces. All right. So while we're waiting for that black, I'm going to add some ivory to our wraps. And we're going to highlight those wraps again. A little distinction and kind of matching where the socks ended up. Just try not to paint over that black line you just did, because we're going to have to figure out what color we're going to do those. Probably blue. Kind of connects the vibrant blue to our miniature. So all that Gilliman flesh really did is just tell us where to put those black lines. That's all I wanted him to do. So if you lose the Gilliman flesh in there, that's fine. It's just a way for me to indicate, kind of like when we did the face, right? When we did the face, we were just trying to figure out where all the details were. So I'm just trying to paint like the large folds and where everything is kind of coming out Give it like some highlight. And if you messed up any black, you can totally clean it up with this. Oops. Oh no, that's right. Thought I painted over the pants for a second there. I probably did. I think I did. That'll be a quick fix though. I think that was Morphing Brown. Where's my Morphing Brown? Just grab this really quick and reintroduce my Morphing Brown there. Okay. Okay, so the trick to the bands is we have to get a bright color into those bands so that anything can be seen. So I'm gonna really take my ivory, and just like I was painting the black lines, but this time I want to thin my ivory down, and I want to make sure I have a point, because all I really want to do is lightly touch the top in the middle of that black line. And I don't care if it covers completely, but I don't want to lose the black on each side of the line. So a very thin black line on each side. So you want to be towards the middle, and I have to try to make sure nothing is in my way. So it's kind of like if you were painting eyes and you wanted the black on each side of the eyes. It's going to take some skill, but this is how we're going to get color into that area. By taking this nice bright ivory and make it act as a white. Just take your time. The faster you go, you're going to end up not getting the black on each side. And because it's a string, it doesn't have to be perfect. You just need to be as thin as you can and make sure that it doesn't get away from that black outline. And if your mold line is there, go to one side of the mold line, then the other. If you haven't taken off your mold line like I have not. And I don't care if it gives me complete coverage. All I care is that I have this white line to get the blue on. But remember, a thin brush needs a thin, your paint has to be thin. Thin brush needs thin paint. That's the way it works. Thicker the paint, it's gonna clump up on you, or it's gonna dry before you get to where you want to. There we go. Okay. Take some of my gray, got some string on the ground here, we don't want that. Okay. Now I'm gonna let the I'm going to let that ivory set up for just a second. And I'm going to go back to my ivory and I'm going to add more ivory to that bandage. And notice I'm not adding any yellow in because I don't want it to match anywhere. I want it to be its own thing. Here I'm just going to hit the top folds. So I'm just going to hit where I see a big fold that I can actually highlight. And if you can highlight around that black line, it makes it even better. Make sure you're not doing the pants. We'll do the same down here. All right. Now let's tie it all in, because right now that ivory looks like a mess. I'm just going to take some of this blue and I'm going to actually darken it down a little bit with some black. And I'm going to add it in to where I put the ivory on there. Oops. Trying to get it only on the ivory, but it doesn't seem like I'm doing a good job here. So I'll have to go in and try to reestablish that black line after. But if you can hit just the ivory, then you're doing better than me right now. I think. I think I did not bring my brush to a point. I have a feeling that's why it did what it did. So I will do that on the next bout. So get to a point. Let's see if I can do better here. It's exactly what I didn't do before. So if you don't get your brush to a point, you can't really paint with it. And that's the kind of stuff we do on this paint along. I don't tend to be perfect, but if you make a mistake, I try to explain why I made the mistake so you will know why that happened. But really, we're just trying to get a color palette, a miniature. Can you control your brush strokes? Well, So that's a little darker. So I'm going to add just a little bit of gray, some misty gray to the blue to make it just a little bit brighter. And again, just kind of brighten up that blue a little bit. It'll become vibrant. Although it's not going to be too vibrant right now because I don't have the black where I want it. All right. Take a little bit of this ivory. Last thing I'm going to do for this evening is take this ivory, and I just want to go back over the bandage on the wood to really kind of bring out that brightness, because it doesn't look too bright right now, and it could be because of that mold line. So bring it over here. Go. All right. No, I lied. There is one more thing I'm going to do. I'm going to actually bring this lip color just a little bit lighter, but I'm only going to go in the middle and the bottom of the lip. So I'm only going to go right here. The middle and the bottom of the lip, not the whole thing. That might need to be just a little bit brighter. I didn't put enough ivory in there. There we go. There's the bottom of the lip. And just to, I know I said it was the last thing, but I just want to really bring out the bottom of that lip. So I'm just going to hit it with a little dark color underneath it with the Gilliman Flesh. There we go. All right, let me take these off. Whoops. All right, I know what one thing we have to do before we leave. I apologize. We're gonna do one more thing. And that is we're going to glaze the bright shirt down. We have to do that before we do any kind of trim on it. So we're going to glaze that bright shirt down, and all I'm going to do is take some of this blue that we have on our palette. We're going to really thin this down. I'm going to add just a little bit of that ivory color to it. And really thin it down. We want it to be a highlighter glaze. How do we get to a highlighter glaze? Well, we have to find something that has writing on it. This has writing on it. And I'm just going to kind of glaze. And see how it's covering up some of that M? We don't want that. So we want more water. And we're going to highlight again. And see, that's water. So I'm going to add a little more blue to that. And it takes a while, but you will find that highlighter glaze. I think we might have it here. Still looks like water. Getting closer. Yeah, it looks good. I like that. All right. It takes a while for it to... You'll get there. You'll figure out. But you want a highlighter color. And now I'm just going to take this, and as we do with every glaze, touch paper towel until you get the point. And a lot of that... So the bigger the brush, the more it's going to come out. But what you're really looking for is that point so you can draw smaller dots. Once you do smaller dots, use the side tip of your brush and you just kind of glaze everything down. So you're going to start to see how this highlight is going to glaze down into those darker colors. And I haven't used any color to glaze this down that's not already in this shirt. So we used a little bit of the ivory just to make sure it doesn't get too dark on me. And since ivory is already in this shirt, it should not affect how it looks. And we have to make sure it dries. So over the week, we're gonna make sure that this thing dries nice, and then we will go in and we can add some trim to the shirt. We can add some detail. Yeah, and then we'll finish her off next week. But this will also soften a lot of those highlights. Again, it's the same blue. We just lightened up the shirt so that her vest can be a little more pronounced as a vibrant blue. And the one thing I do have to do is fix this right here. Since there is a trim here. Oops. Oh no. Flood, flood, flood. Flood, flood, flood. Flood it. Soak it. There we go. Alright, I'm having a hard time staying in the line, so we're gonna have to call it there. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, there she is so far. We fixed that eye a little bit more from where she was. We gave her some lips and updated her face just a little bit better. We'll do a little bit more highlight on the face. It looks a little flat still, but we added some yellow into the wood, and we added ivory into the bandage, so now that kind of stands out. You can start to see some of the dark lines as we hit those highlights. I'm going to go in, I'm going to touch up the blue here so it's a little bit cleaner. But next week, what we'll do is we'll finish off the face. We'll dark line everything where we can dark line. We'll add some details, probably just some simple trim on the shirt and on the vest. And then, yeah, we'll work on the base and we'll call her complete for number 4, or for part 4. But this is where she is. Hopefully, and again, I will get the mod or the VOD up. There we go. So there she is in her glory. I'll turn the music off now. I'll take these off. Oh, see, I hit her. I'm never going to get her back to that area again. Come on now. You could do it. You could do it. So if you have a female monk in your party, maybe you can use her. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everybody for stopping in tonight and painting along with me. It has been a blast. We will take her to the next levels next week. I will post this VOD onto YouTube, and then I will get the other 3, or the other, I will get the other links, plus part 3, up on YouTube. Join the YouTube, join the Discord, not YouTube, Discord. Join the Discord. Discord, get you into the Discord. Go to Paint-Alongs 2024 to find out the schedule of the first 4 minis that we're going to be painting. And that's where I will post the YouTube links so that you can paint along as well. Next week will be the last week we do for Xiao Liu, the female monk. We'll get her all cleaned up and ready for the table. So like I said, the first 2 weeks we do tabletop. The next 2 weeks we do tabletop plus, and then you can use these, and then you can go forth and create display pieces by retooling and redefining certain things on her. But we want to make her look good for the table, and these paint-alongs need to be worth something. So if I can do as much tabletop plus stuff as I can with you, then I will do so. Yeah, so next Sunday is the last one for her, and then I think we're off for a week. And when we come back on March 31st, which is Easter, so maybe not for me. I will figure things out. Keep checking the Discord for when we're going to be doing that. But I think it's going to be a Knoll Ravager from Reaper, and we'll sneak peek that next week. This coming week, my next streams will be Tuesday. We're doing technical tryouts on Tuesday. I think for this piece, I'm just going to fix a miniature that maybe was poorly painted. Maybe it was a pre-painted miniature, or maybe it was something that I did long ago and I want to touch it up and fix it up now. So we'll go through the process of doing an hour and a half of just taking some miniature we want to try. And it's not as hard as you think it is, but sometimes we want to restart the entire thing. Sometimes we want to keep going, but we don't know where to go. So we'll look into that and see. So that's what we're going to be doing Tuesday at 7:30. 7 to 8:30 on Tuesday. Then Friday we finish the film case brigade. I'll find something on a film case. Maybe it's the Icy Death Guard again. Who knows? And then Sunday we'll finish her off at 8:30. All right. So let's go find out who's around that's painting miniatures. I think I have an idea who's painting miniatures. That's right. We're going to go see a Night Whisper because I don't get to raid into him all that much. And when I do, he's always doing something cool. So let me just put in him right now. There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, he's probably working with some whales, so if you're not following along, watch him for a few minutes and see if you can learn anything from him. And yeah, so we'll see everybody on Tuesday, or we'll see you next Sunday to finish off Xiao Liu, the female monk from Reaper 77418. Have a great night, everybody, and we'll see you behind the brush.
Hey, Gel Tip, how you doing? How is your stream? Hey, so how'd the paint along go? How far did you get?